Okay, good morning everyone. I think this is your second class for BSc Honors. Now, as far as the previous class was concerned, we have talked about the basics of environment. So, I've given you an introduction to environment, and we have talked about the basic components of the environment, and then we talked about the necessity of environmental studies, and we have also talked about the multidisciplinary nature of environmental studies. Now we will just extend our discussion slightly more before we come to rounding off of this chapter. Now our next topic for today's discussion will be the concept of sustainability and sustainable development. So we will today discuss beginning with concept of sustainability and sustainable development. Okay, now as far as sustainable development is concerned, this concept was for the first time introduced and defined in a report which was titled as Our Common Future. So this concept for the first time was introduced and defined in a report whose title was Our Common Future. Now this report, that is Our Common Future, it was an outcome of a deliberation of an international group which was constituted by the WCED, that is the World Commission on Environment and Development. Now this commission, the commission which created this report, was called as the Brundtland Commission. The commission which created this report was called as the Brundtland Commission, and the commission was chaired by the then Norwegian Prime Minister, Mr. Gro Harlem Brundtland, and under his chairmanship this report was created, that is Our Common Future, and hence the name of the commission was Brundtland Commission. Okay, now this Brundtland Commission, for the first time, it defined what we call as sustainable development. Now you must remember that development is a way of life. Without development, life on this planet cannot continue. So we are now switching over to sustainable development, or we are switched over to sustainable development, because if you look into the history of this Brundtland Commission, it was formed maybe around 1983, and it remained operative from 1984 to 1987. So the world has gone well into the concepts of sustainability. So how did this commission define sustainable development? Now, according to the Brundtland Commission, sustainable development was defined as meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising on the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. So how was the sustainable development defined by the Brundtland Commission? It was defined as meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising on the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Now, the question is, why are we so much interested in sustainability? Or why is the world talking so much about sustainable development? Now see, as far as resources on this planet is concerned, now resources are not unlimited. We don't have disposal to infinite amount of resources. It's not possible. So our resources are quite limited. Any resource you can think of. Quality resource. Good quality of air, good quality of water, forest resource, wildlife resource, the resource of our fossil fuels, or the biodiversity resources. Now all these resources, as you can see, they are limited, they are finite. So if the rate of resource use goes well beyond the rate of resource generation, that will obviously lead to resource crisis. That will obviously lead to disparities pertaining to resource distribution and resource utility. So resources will only be available to the rich, whereas the poor, who also need access to such resources, they won't be having the access. So in that case, we will observe, or what we are observing in the present world, is resource disparity. Not everyone have equal access to resources. So equal access to resources is the ultimate target. The ultimate target is to ensure that resource utilization becomes absolutely sustainable, so that not only the present are able to meet their needs, but even the future, the upcoming generations of the future, they are also able to satisfy their needs without compromising on either resource quality or on resource quantity. Okay, now as far as sustainability is concerned, or sustainable development is concerned, now sustainable development practically has three pillars. Sustainable development practically has three pillars, and the three pillars of sustainability are: number one, the environment, obviously; number two, the social pillar; and number three, the economic pillar. What are the three pillars of sustainable development? The first pillar is the environment, obviously. The second pillar is the social pillar, and the third pillar is the economic pillar. Now, the pillar of environment, it will be focusing on environmental development. The pillar of social pillar, it will be focusing on the societal development, and the economic pillar will definitely focus on economic development. So if we are talking of the environment part of the sustainability, then it will talk of definitely your air, water, biodiversity, managing the problem of climate change, the what you can say, to ensure minerals are available for a very distant future, to solve energy crisis, etc. Now, if you are thinking of the social aspect of the sustainability pillar, the social aspect will definitely focus on food security. It will try to focus on shelter availability to everyone. It will try to focus on the cultural aspect of the society. And if you are talking of the economic pillar, it will definitely focus on better productions, better processing units, better marketing, better transportation, better communication skills, or better communication infrastructure, etc., etc. So when all these three pillars are working in unison, when all these pillars are working in cooperation with each other, there is a good sense of synchronization between all the three pillars of development, then only sustainability, or what we call as sustainable development, can be achieved. So the three pillars of sustainable development are: number one, the pillar of environment, focusing on environmental development; the pillar of social pillar, focusing on societal development; and then comes your economic pillar, focusing on economic development. And as I said, when all these three pillars of sustainability, if they achieve development in unison, if they achieve development in full synchronization with each other, then only sustainable development can be achieved. Otherwise, sustainable development will remain to be a distant dream. Okay, now after talking about these pillars of sustainability, the next topic which we shall hold upon is: what are the priority areas of achieving sustainable development? Now see, achieving the concept of sustainability is there, but achieving sustainability is not easy, because there is a lot of global problems, there is a lot of local problems, and to manage all those problems and ultimately achieve the goal of sustainability will definitely take a lot of planning, it will take a lot of strategies. So let us discuss what are the priority areas of sustainable development. So one of the first priority will definitely be to slow down population growth. Now, as you know, that the global population is well beyond the what you can say 700 crore mark or 7 billion mark. The Indian population is almost, say, 1.4 billion, 140 crores almost. So until and unless we are able to slow down population growth, we cannot reduce the pressure on our resources. So slowing down population growth is definitely one of the priority areas, because once we can slow down the population growth, once we can reduce the number of consumers, then only better resource availability, better resource accessibility can be achieved. The next priority area is definitely to reduce poverty, to reduce inequality, and to reduce the debt of the third world. Now, if you do not know what is the third world practically refers to the developing and the underdeveloped countries, whose economy, whose societal structure is quite different from the first world as a whole. Now, if we are looking at the third world is plagued with multiple problems. If you look at our country itself, there is the problem of poverty. Then there is a problem of what you can say inequality. Inequality in the sense of access to resources. So, if you are not able to if you are not able to have access to a resource, and others who have money and power, they are able to access the resource, that means there is definitely societal inequality. So, and then the third world, countries like India, what you can say, Bangladesh, countries like Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Sri Lanka. Now, these countries are under a lot of debt, because any developmental activity, as far as our countries are concerned, it requires what you can say a lot of money, and since we do not have enough of it, so we need to borrow it from the first world. So the third world debt is a massive factor. It's a massive global problem, as you can see. So sustainability will definitely aim to improve health. It will aim to improve longevity of the people. It will focus on literacy. It will try to increase employment. So all these will definitely help to reduce the problems of poverty, inequality, and the third world debt. So that is how practically sustainability works. The third priority area regarding sustainability is to make our agriculture sustainable. Now, if you think of the Indian economy is still largely an agriculture dependent economy. And in our agricultural sector, we find a lot of harmful practices. Say, for example, uncalculated amount of pesticide addition, uncalculated amount of what you can say synthetic fertilizers addition. Now, all these harmful practices, although they may help you to achieve some short-term goals, they may help you to derive some short-term benefits, but in the long run, they are of no use. So, sustainable agriculture definitely will definitely target to reduce such harmful agricultural practices, and it will try to focus on long-term goals. Say, for example, more and more investments on what you can say organic fertilizers, more and more investments on biological pesticides, biopesticides, which we call it. So once we can switch over to such what you can say organic or biological factors, then definitely in the long term we will be benefiting. So sustainability, as far as your agricultural sector is concerned, it will aim to reduce harmful agricultural practices and help us to focus on more and more beneficial agricultural practices. It will help to reduce soil degradation and soil pollution, and it will help to conserve agricultural biodiversity. And this is how sustainable agriculture will be focusing on agriculture, so that it becomes a long-term phenomenon. The next priority of sustainability is to protect forests and other habitats. Now you already know that forests are ecosystems where trees are dominant. Forests are ecosystems where trees are dominant. So obviously, these forests, particularly if you look into the tropical forests, the forest in and around the tropics, the forest in our country, the forest in Africa, the Congo basin, the Amazon basin, etc. These are the tropical forests, and they hold a massive biological diversity, both in terms of plant and animal biodiversity. So forests not only support biodiversity, they are also the habitat of a huge number of species throughout the world. And not only forests, there are other ecosystems also. For example, deserts, grasslands, oceans, and there are such multiple ecosystems. Now, sustainable development will definitely aim and target to conserve forests. It will definitely aim and target to conserve biological diversity, because without biodiversity, we will not have access to food, because whatever food you eat, be it a plant food or be it an animal food, it is ultimately derived from a living resource. It is ultimately derived from a living resource. So ultimately, if we are not able to conserve our forests, if we are not able to conserve our natural habitats where organisms will live, dwell, and perpetuate, where they will increase in number, then it will not guarantee us food security. The next priority area will definitely be to make water and energy use sustainable. Now, as you know, that particularly in the third world countries, there is an ever growing crisis of clean and safe drinking water. Clean and safe drinking water is not available to everyone. So, we must focus on water usage, which will lead to water conservation. We must focus on technologies which will lead to greater energy efficiencies, because energy insecurity is also a problem of the third world. So if we have strategies, if we have technologies which will focus on energy efficiency, which will focus on water conservation, that definitely will hold what you can say a good foundation to a better future. And lastly, sustainability will definitely lay its stress on to reduce waste generation. Now, whatever activity you take up on this planet, now you are bound to generate waste. For example, if you are living, every moment you are breathing in oxygen, which is a resource for you, and as a byproduct of your aerobic cellular respirations, you are giving out CO2, which is supposed to be a waste. So whatever activity you do, be it an industrial activity, be it a domestic activity, or be it what you can say agriculture, be it an agricultural activity, any kind of activity ultimately results in waste generation. And where do we throw out this waste? Now, the environment of this planet has become the ultimate receptacle of wastes. It receives all wastes from all our processes. So obviously, sustainability will aim to reduce such processes of waste generation. It will help to reduce waste generation as a whole. So that means you have to focus on technologies which will lead to better processes, which will lead to reduction of waste, and which will focus on waste recycling, waste reuse, etc., etc. Because only if we can reduce wastes can we guarantee the safety and quality of our environmental resources. Now, if you are thinking in terms of these resources, say air. Now, if you look into the Delhi's problem, Delhi's air quality is absolutely down to the drains, and as a result, we are experiencing for the first time lockdowns pertaining to degradation of air quality. So this is the disastrous situation of India's environment, as far as India is concerned, as far as Delhi is concerned. So that it does not, so that this pollution pandemic does not come and hit us in the future, we must focus on sustainability. So with that, we come to the end of the first chapter, where we have talked of our environment, where I have given you a brief introduction to environmental studies, its multidisciplinary nature, etc. And then we have also talked about the concept of sustainability. Now, after talking about the first chapter, next we shall begin our discussion with the next chapter, that is natural resources. Natural resources. So, first and foremost, you need to understand what exactly is a resource. So we have been listening to this term very frequently, what exactly is a resource. So a resource is anything that you utilize from the living or non-living environment, which will help you to satisfy your needs, not your greed. Remember, greed cannot be satisfied. You can satisfy your needs. So the resources of this planet are anything that can be a goods, that can be in terms of services, which will help to satisfy your needs but not greed. So for anything to be called as a resource, it must satisfy certain characters. So first we shall discuss what are the fundamental characteristics of a resource. So you can't just call anything as a resource. To call something as a resource, it must have some characters. So what are the characteristic features of a resource? So the first characteristic feature of a resource is its functionality. What is the function of that resource? So why should I take up that resource? If I take up that resource, what kind of functions will it serve? Then comes serviceability. Where will I utilize that resource? That is what we call as serviceability. Then comes acceptability. To what extent is the resource acceptable? Then comes your demand. If it's a resource, it will have a demand. If it is not having a demand in the society, if it is not having a demand in the economic markets of the world, then you cannot consider it to be a resource. And then comes the resources property of eco-friendliness. And lastly, you have to also look into the characteristic or the ability of the resource to preserve the biosphere. So these are some of the fundamental properties of anything to be called as a resource. So I'm just repeating the properties. The first property is its functionality. The second property is its serviceability. Third property is its acceptability. Fourth property is its demand. Fifth is its eco-friendliness. And lastly is its ability to preserve the biosphere. And these are some of the, what you can say, fundamental properties of resource. Now, after talking about this, we shall try to classify the resources of this planet. So the question is, how do we classify these resources? Now, based on its biological characteristics, we can classify a resource into a biotic resource or an abiotic resource. Now, as far as a biotic resource is concerned, obviously it refers to any goods or any services that you are obtaining from a biological organism, which you are obtaining from something of biological origin. So that may be a renewable biological resource, or that may be a non-renewable biological resource. Now, if you are thinking of a renewable biological resource, for example, the plants, the animals, they are renewable, we can regenerate them. But if you are thinking of a non-renewable biological resource, the best example I can think of is that of the fossil fuels, coal, petroleum, natural gas. Now, all these, be it coal or be it petroleum or be it natural gas, all of it has been derived from something of biological origin. So if it's not of biological origin, it cannot contribute to processes of such fossil fuel formation. So if you are looking at a renewable biological resource, that will be cited as plants and animals, and if you are looking at non-renewable biological resources, you can think of fossil fuels. Now then comes the abiotic resources. That means the resources which are non-living, the resources which have been obtained from the non-living components of nature. And they can be, you can say, soil, fertile soil, clean and safe water. Then you can think of the various minerals of this planet. So these are all the abiotic resources. So based on the biological properties, we can classify resources as biotic resources and abiotic resources. Biotic resources, we can further classify it as renewable biotic resource, example plants, animals, etc. And the other is non-renewable biotic resource, example is fossil fuels. Okay, now as far as your resource classification, based on what you can say, the renewability, based on the regeneration ability of the resource. So based on the renewability or regeneration ability of the resource, resources can be renewable or resources can be non-renewable. So if you are talking of a renewable resource, so these resources are infinite, present in infinite amounts in nature, and even if we try, we cannot cause an exhaustion of these resources. So they are also called inexhaustible resources. They are flow resources. Say for example, the sunlight, all the water of this planet, all the wind energy. Okay. So these are all what we can call as your renewable resources, whose rate of regeneration is far more than the rate of use up. So that means they are present in infinite amounts, and even if we want, we cannot exhaust it. Then comes the non-renewable resources. So if you are talking of these non-renewable resources, obviously they are present in finite amounts. They can also be referred to as stock resources. Once it's over, it's over. You won't get it again. Say for example the fossil fuels, coal, petrol, natural gas, which will definitely be exhausted in the near future, or in the not so far future. Now, next, we can also classify resources based on the components of its creation. Say for example, if a resource, if you can obtain it directly from nature, it will be called as a natural resource. So for example, soil, water, forests, these are all natural resources, which is not created by man. Then comes human resources. So human resources are derived from human work power, human intelligence, human serviceability, etc. For example, if you look into your society, the doctor is a resource, the lawyer is a resource, teachers are resources. So the various laborers, the workmen, they are all resources. But they are human resources because we utilize their services, we utilize their technicalities, their intelligence. And lastly comes the cultural resource. Now if we are talking of cultural resources, it refers to our scientific knowledge, it refers to our scientific outlook and awareness, it refers to our technical capabilities, our behavior. So all these will be classified under cultural resources. So overall, how do we classify resources? Resources based on the biological characters. We broke it up into biotic and abiotic resources. Based on its renewability or exhaustibility, we broke it up into renewable and non-renewable resources. And based on the components of its creation, from where we have procured the resources, we have classified it into natural resources and human resources, and then we also saw cultural resources. So that was in brief very short outlook about resources. Now for your examination purpose, please note down what are the various topics which you will study. For your examination purpose, please note down what are the various resources that you will study for your examination. Write down. Number 1, forest resource. Forest resource. Number 2, you will study about water resources. Water resource. Number 3, you will study about mineral resources. You will study about mineral resources. Number 4, you will study about food resources. You study about food resources. Then you will study about land resources. You will study about land resources. And very importantly, you will study about energy resources. You will study about energy resources. Now as far as energy resources are concerned, definitely studied about the conventional and non-conventional energy resources. Now conventional energy means which we have been using for a considerable span of time. For example, coal and petroleum. So these are the conventional. And then comes your non-conventional. Non-conventional means we are talking of the alternative energy sector, where we invest on solar power, wind power, geothermal energy, we focus on tidal energy, we focus on biomass energy. So definitely study about all these different energy sources. So that covers your conventional energy sources and non-conventional energy sources. Achha. I think this part of the syllabus you can study on your own because it's already a known component of the syllabus. So that is why I am not giving you I am not going into a very extensive discussion. These things are quite known to you. So just after today's class, I will be providing you with some notes, both in English as well as in Bengali version, about the chapter on resources. I might provide you tonight itself. So if you have any queries, you can ask me. If you have any queries, you can ask me. Anyone?
Sir?
Hmm.
Sir, you said under sustainable development, you said ki social pillar consisting of social development. So, sir, what are the points we can consider under social development?
Under social development, you can talk of food security, where you don't have to worry. You can talk of food security, where you don't have to worry about your food. There are numerous people in India who don't know when they will have their next meal. Then you can talk of shelter for everyone. If you can just go around the Asansol railway station, you'll be finding people sleeping under the open skies in the winter. So that is absolutely lack of shelter. So if the society has to develop, it must ensure shelter for everyone. And then we must talk of culture. So culture is something that is very important, because until and unless your thoughts and your actions are cultured and civilized, you cannot contribute to societal development. Anything else?
Thank you, sir. No, sir, thank you. Excuse me, sir. Sir, the topics which you said, we have to study it from the Google, or you will provide the
No, I'll be
notes?
providing you with some notes. I think you have already got the notes of the first chapter, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll be providing you with the notes of the second chapter also. So don't worry. And whichever the topics I am telling, just go through them. Prior to examination, I'll be giving you a suggestion also. Don't study very deeply or very extensively. Just stick to the class. Stick to the class notes. That will be enough. Anything else? Anything else? As far as a BBA student is concerned, sir, for BBA students, today is the first class. Because yesterday during the online class, BBA students said, no, yesterday there was no class for you. BBA and BCA students, you will be having classes only on Wednesday. Okay? All BBA and BCA students, please note that you will be having your ENVS classes only on Wednesday. And also there is another problem, is that in the Google Meet we can accommodate only around 90 or 95, I think. So if you're not able to join the class, nothing to worry. Whatever is the...
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. So when was our first class?
You are BBA or BCA student?
So BBA.
BBA. So actually your first class, prior to this class, there was only one class. That was on the 27th of October. Okay? So you have just missed out on one class. So you haven't missed out much. That also, I think you have got the notes of the classes of the first class, of the first chapter. I have shared it with Gunomay sir.
Yes, sir.
I have shared it with Gunomay sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else? Should I end the class then? Okay, don't worry. I'll be uploading the entire class lecture in my YouTube channel. If you, those of your friends who haven't been able to attend the class, you can join it through, you can avail the class through the YouTube channel also. Okay, so I'm ending the class then. Okay? Okay then, bye. Okay, bye.